Hello, viewers, and a warm welcome to this episode of the Indian Lawyer Legal Tips. Today, we are discussing a very burning topic, which is demolitions of illegal structures in India. Joining me is Saharsh Patel, who has prepared this particular note, and together we are doing a short Q&A on the demolition process. Over to you, Saharsh.
Good evening, ma'am, and a hearty good evening to all our viewers. So, the first question that I have for you today is what is the current situation regarding illegal structures in India and why are state administrations increasingly demolishing them?
Well, the current situation is that there is a great demand for land in India and there's a great demand for urbanization in India. This is putting immense pressure on the land and resources, which has now led to a rise in unauthorized constructions, and there is very often violation of building regulations, encroachment upon public or private land, and misuse of the land. So because of this, the administration, for various reasons, there are environmental protection reasons, there are urban planning imperatives, and most importantly, they have to adhere to judicial mandates, which are now frowning upon illegal constructions.
Ma'am, could you please elaborate upon what is considered as an illegal structure under Indian law?
Well, illegal structure under our law would encompass a wide range of constructions that contravene established laws and regulations. One primary reason for a structure to be deemed illegal is because it violates the building codes and bylaws. Then there are certain state-related permissions that have to be taken, which are again violated, again being a reason for illegal structure. Then there are certain standards that have to be followed when you're constructing. If these are not met, or architectural designs which are approved are not met, again it would be deemed to be illegal. Then another important thing is if there is permission for a number of floors and you go beyond that, obviously it would go against the zoning regulations and again it would be illegal. Apart from this, there is also another issue where it becomes illegal, that is if you encroach on government land or private land when you are building. So again, another instance of illegality.
So, ma'am, certain terms with respect to illegal structure are used interchangeably. So, can you please explain the difference between unauthorized construction, encroachment, and illegal development?
They are more or less the same, Saharsh. I would say that unauthorized construction, encroachment, and illegal development has some very slight differences in the use, but that's the reason they're used interchangeably. But if you look at it specifically, unauthorized means constructing without authorization. Encroachment means you are taking up upon the land of either the government or some private individual. And illegal development means that the land has to be used for a particular purpose, but you have decided to use it for some other purpose.
So, ma'am, could you please elaborate upon the guidelines that have been set by the Indian governments defining illegal construction?
Yes, there is a National Building Code of 2016, which lays down a comprehensive set of guidelines for building construction across the country. The NBC does not directly authorize demolitions, but it establishes the standards that define legal construction. Violation of these standards, as well as state-specific building bylaws, is what will lead to have the building deemed as illegal or classified as illegal. And it is because when these constructions are not as per the parameters laid down by the National Building Code, they can be deemed to be illegal or they can be deemed to have violated the permissions that have been given. For the convenience of our viewers, we have put on the screen below the relevant legal framework and what is deemed to be illegal.
So, ma'am, how do state-specific laws, particularly those in Telangana, empower local authorities to demolish illegal structures?
Well, actually, we have a national legislation which is known as the Public Premises Eviction of Unauthorized Occupants Act 1971. This is the key piece of legislation, and this is what is applicable to the entire country. Apart from that, you do have state related laws which will define what is legal and what is illegal in each particular state. But the most important legislation that everybody has to bear in mind is the PP Act 1971. And on the slide below, we have mentioned what are the powers that are provided under this law to the government. Now, coming to your question about what happens in the state of Telangana. Well, in the state of Telangana, like every other state, they have their own rules and regulations. So, state specific legislations in Telangana would be the Telangana Urban Areas Development Act 1975, the Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation Act 1955, the Hyderabad Metropolitan Development Authority HMDA Act 2008, and then you have the Telangana Regularization of Unauthorizedly Constructed Building Rules 2015. Apart from that, you also have the municipal bylaws. Now, put together, these are the laws that will apply in the case of Telangana. And if anybody does not follow all these state specific legislations, apart from the PP Act, it would deem to be an illegal structure open for demolition. Now, one more thing I feel that I should mention here, although Saharsh has not taken it up, is whether there is any other law. The answer is yes, there are other laws also that look into encroachment or trespass, and one of these would be the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita BNS 2023, which talks about the offense of criminal trespass, which is also very relevant when it comes to public as well as private lands.
Ma'am, now that we have got an understanding of what constitutes a legal and illegal structure, so can you walk us through the typical process that state administrations follow when demolishing an illegal structure?
Yes, I think this is an extremely important question. And let me just begin by giving the six-way process that every government authority has to follow. The first, of course, is identification and survey of structures that are suspected to be illegal. The second would be issuance of a show cause notice to the property owners or the occupants. The third would be the hearing process, because as per the principles of natural justice, everybody has a right to be heard. Then after the hearing, both the parties, the fourth process would be passing of the demolition order. And even after the demolition order is passed, generally there is a gap of some 15 days, just in case the person who against whom the demolition order has been passed wants to go up in appeal or wants to go to a court of law. Now, the final stage, of course, if there is no appeal or there is no stay from a higher authority, would be implementation of the demolition order. That is, typically there would be mobilization of various resources and personnel, and then the state authorities would demolish the unauthorized construction.
Ma'am, what role has the Indian judiciary played, particularly the Supreme Court, in influencing the process of demolishing illegal structures?
I would say the Supreme Court has played a very, very important role. It is only a couple of years ago, or maybe even last year, that the Supreme Court had ordered the demolition of those two huge buildings in Noida, which were built without permission, and the Welfare Association had approached the Supreme Court saying that the buildings were not as per the sanctioned plan. So the Supreme Court demolished the building. Now, what happens is in a recent case, which is called Redirections Regarding the Demolition of Structures, a 2024 judgment, a division bench of the Supreme Court passed a very comprehensive pan-India guidelines to regulate the process of property demolition. This particular matter has become extremely important throughout the country and lays down the steps that the government has to follow, as well as individuals who are going into constructions. The first thing that the Supreme Court mandates is that a notice must be given to the person who is guilty of illegal construction before a demolition is carried out. Secondly, there has to be a personal hearing. Thirdly, there will be a final order. Fourthly, that particular person or company against whom there is a final order will have the opportunity to approach the appellate or higher authority for judicial scrutiny. and finally, if the proceeding of demolition will start. So the law is very clear that while there is a lot of illegal constructions which ought to be demolished, the due process of law has to be followed. And after following that, yes, there can be demolitions.
Ma'am, are there any other important case laws wherein the Supreme Court has clarified the position regarding demolition of illegal structures?
Yes, in a recent judgment called Rajendra Kumar Barjatia and another versus UP Awas Evam Vikas Parishad and others, a 2024 judgment, what the appellants had done is they had misused the land which was kept for residential purpose to build a commercial complex. Now they got a notice from the UP Awas Evam Vikas Parishad. They failed to allow the demolition. They went in appeal to the High Court. The High Court upheld the demolition and finally they came to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court agreed with the High Court and said that if a land has to be used in a particular manner and is misused or there is a new use without permission, then that particular construction is deemed to be illegal and there would be a demolition. Recently, also, the Telangana High Court, in an order in Writ Petition number 12889 of 2025, has stated that in fact, in which the court has taken very serious note of illegal unauthorized constructions that have taken place in Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation. It has pulled up GHMC for mechanically serving notices and doing nothing. It has also said that if GHMC does not take action against unauthorized construction, then it would be deemed to be contempt of court. Thereafter, they have sealed the premises and asked GHMC to take the right steps for the demolition.
Ma'am, in a situation, if an individual believes that his structure has been wrongly targeted for demolition by state authorities, then in such a situation, what legal remedy does that individual possess?
Well, the person concerned can obviously go through the appeal mechanism, but apart from that, he can also go directly to the High Court in a writ petition, and it has to satisfy the High Court that there has been that he's challenging the legality of the demolition order because there is no procedural fairness in the order, or that he has not been allowed to have his fair say in establishing his case, or that there has been no illegal construction on his part and the tribunal refused to listen to him. So, or that there has been no jurisdiction for that particular tribunal to decide the matter. So, there are many things that can be done, and thereafter it is for the court to decide whether or not the demolition order is correct or not. So long as the demolition order, before the demolition order, all the 4 steps mentioned above have been followed, there is no reason why the demolition should not take place.
Ma'am, now what can be the alternative to demolition of illegal structure and in which circumstances they might be appropriate?
Well, actually, there is the system of penalty and fines which can be imposed by the authorities. Then there is a system of regularization. But the rampant rate at which there is unauthorized construction going on, now courts are not allowing all this regularization. In fact, there is, in the state of Telangana, there has been a stay on the regularization process, and it must be the same in several parts of the country because they do not want to allow the illegal constructions to continue. They have to put a stop. Please remember, Sahash, that India is very densely populated. We have a very limited area that has to be shared by a huge populace. And now if everyone starts violating the law, then there is no question of being able to administer the country smoothly. So there has to be a stop when there is something illegal.
Ma'am, thank you for your valuable insights. So what would be your key takeaways from this discussion?
See, I feel that all of us should behave very responsibly as Indian citizens. We all know that we have the highest population in the world. We all know that there is a limited amount of space that we have to live within. So I think we should take our responsibilities seriously and not commit any illegalities by misusing the purpose for which land has been allotted, or breaking the building bylaws and constructing what we want. We should also remember that not only does this have an impact on the law, but it also affects the infrastructure, and the environment. If the infrastructure and the environment cannot support this kind of construction, the whole thing will crash. So I think we should all behave responsibly and be satisfied with what we have. With this, I would like to conclude this episode. If you have found this useful, please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching us. Till we meet again next week. Goodbye.